My sister's wedding was grand until she mocked me for not having a date, announcing to everyone she's doomed to be alone forever. My response made her gasp. The string quartet played Pachelbel's Canon as I stood alone at the back of the grand ballroom watching my sister float down the aisle like a princess in her designer gown. That dress alone cost more than my annual salary. Not that anyone knew I was the one who paid for it. I'm Greta, and this is the story of how my perfect little sister's dream wedding became my worst nightmare and, ultimately, my sweetest revenge. Darling, you could at least pretend to smile, my mother Hope whispered, appearing beside me in her champagne-colored dress. And where's your +1? I thought you said you were bringing someone. Change of plans, I muttered, forcing a smile as Solstice reached the altar. Her soon-to-be husband, Rowan, beamed at her with adoration, completely oblivious to the family drama unfolding in the wings. Well, it's not too late, you know. Miguel, the wedding planner, is single. Mom Stage whispered, nodding toward the sharply dressed man directing the photographers. And he's quite handsome. I rolled my eyes. Mom, please, can we focus on Solstice's big day? The ceremony proceeded like a fairy tale, exactly as Solstice had dreamed. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. White roses and orchids cascaded from every surface, and the guest list read like a who's who of local society. Perfect, 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 just like Solstice. During the reception, my best friend Camilla grabbed my arm. You okay? You look like you're about to explode. I'm fine, I lied, watching Solstice work the room. Just tired of deflecting questions about my relationship status. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJ's voice boomed through the speakers. It's time for the speeches. My stomach churned as Solstice took the microphone, champagne glass in hand. I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate with Rowan and me today, especially my family, Mom, Dad, and my big sister, Greta. I raised my glass, praying she'd leave it at that. She didn't. You know, Greta's always been there for me, even if she's been a bit preoccupied with her career lately. Solstice's smile turned sharp. I mean, someone has to be the successful businesswoman of the family. Right? Though, I have to wonder if it's worth being married to your job instead of finding actual love. The room fell silent. I felt hundreds of eyes turn to me. But, hey, at least she's got her spreadsheets to keep her warm at night. Solstice laughed, and a few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the crowd. I just hope she doesn't end up alone forever. There's more to life than work, sis. My father Jonathan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Camilla's hand found mine under the table, squeezing tight. To love, Solstice raised her glass, her diamond ring catching the light. May we all be lucky enough to find it? Well, most of us anyway. The guests drank, but I couldn't move. The champagne in my glass trembled as my hand shook with rage. I can't believe she just did that, Camilla whispered. After everything you've done for her? Everything I'd done. The secret meetings with Miguel to plan every detail, the maxed out credit cards, the drained savings account, all to give my baby sister the wedding of her dreams, and this was my thank you, Greta? Miguel appeared at my elbow, concern etched on his face. Are you all right? I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the marble floor. I need some air. As I headed for the terrace, I heard my mother's voice. Solstice, darling, that wasn't very kind. Oh, Mom, I was just teasing. Greta knows I love her. She's probably just jealous because she's missing out on all of this. Solstice's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. I mean, who wouldn't be? I pushed through the French doors onto the balcony, the cool evening air hitting my face. Behind me, the party continued. My sister's perfect day, funded by the very person she just humiliated in front of everyone who mattered. Camilla followed me out. What are you going to do? I gripped the stone balustrade, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of revenge. You know what? I think it's time everyone learned who really made this fairy tale wedding possible. Are you sure? Camilla asked, but I could see the gleam in her eye. She knew as well as I did. My sister had finally gone too far. Oh, I'm sure, I said, straightening my bridesmaid's dress. If Solstice wants to play princess, she should remember who's been bankrolling her happily ever after. 6 months earlier, I sat across from Miguel in a dimly lit coffee shop, spreading wedding magazines across the table. My sister's vision board lay between us, covered in pictures of luxury venues and designer dresses she couldn't possibly afford. Your sister has expensive taste, Miguel said diplomatically, tallying numbers on his iPad. The venue alone is nearly 6 figures. I sipped my now cold coffee. She's always had champagne tastes on a beer budget, but this time, I'll make it happen. Why? Miguel's dark eyes studied me carefully. From what you've told me, she hasn't exactly been Sister of the Year. The bell above the cafe door chimed as my mother walked in, spotting us immediately. Perfect timing as always. Greta, what a coincidence. She pulled up a chair uninvited, and you must be Miguel, the wedding planner. Solstice has told me so much about you. I bit back a laugh. Solstice had met Miguel exactly once, then pawned all the actual planning off on me because she was too busy with her social commitments. Mrs. Ellis, Miguel nodded professionally. We were just discussing the budget. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Oh, don't worry about that. Solstice's future in-laws are handling everything. Actually, Mom, I started, but she cut me off. You know, Miguel, Greta here is single and so successful in her career, she just made junior partner at her firm. Mom? I felt my face flush. We're here to discuss Solstice's wedding. I'm just saying, dear, you're not getting any younger. And my phone buzzed, saved by the bell. Sorry. Work call. I need to take this. I escaped to the sidewalk outside, but there was no call. Just another credit card statement showing the deposits I'd already paid for Solstice's dream venue and the ridiculous designer dress she'd fallen in love with. Through the window, I could see Mom chattering away at Miguel, probably listing all my accomplishments while simultaneously lamenting my single status. The story of my life, successful enough to bankroll my sister's fantasy wedding, but somehow still a disappointment because I didn't have a ring on my finger. My phone buzzed again for real this time. It was Camilla. Please tell me you're not really paying for that entire wedding, she said without preamble. I watched a couple walk past the cafe hand in hand. Someone has to. You know, Solstice can't afford it, and Rowan's family isn't as wealthy as she's led everyone to believe. But why you? After everything she's done, remember your college graduation? How could I forget? Solstice had thrown a tantrum because my party was stealing attention from her new boyfriend, so she deliberately caused a scene that ended with my cake on the floor and half the guests leaving early. It's complicated. I sighed. Mom and Dad always had to work so hard just to keep us afloat. Now that I can finally give them something, you're giving Solstice something again while she takes all the credit again. Miguel emerged from the cafe, my mother thankfully nowhere in sight. He held up my abandoned coffee cup. Your mother is enthusiastic. That's one word for it. I took the cup. Did she try to set us up? Only 3 times in 5 minutes. He smiled. She also mentioned you're paying for the wedding yourself. I froze. She wasn't supposed to know that. She doesn't. She was bragging about how much money you make and how you could afford such a lavish wedding of your own if you just put yourself out there. He made air quotes. I connected the dots myself. Please don't tell Solstice, I said quickly. She thinks Rowan's family is covering everything. Miguel's expression softened. Your secret's safe with me, but can I ask why? Why do all this in secret? I stared into my cold coffee because for once, I want her to have exactly what she wants. No compromises, no settling, no reason to throw a fit and ruin someone else's moment. Maybe then she'll finally appreciate you? Maybe then she'll just be happy, I whispered, and stop trying to make everyone else miserable. Miguel touched my arm gently. You're a good sister, Greta. Better than she deserves. If only he knew how wrong he was, because standing there, watching happy couples stroll by and thinking about all the time Solstice had undermined me, belittled me, or straight up sabotaged me. I wasn't planning this wedding out of pure sisterly love. I was buying the rope with which my sister would hang herself. Every crystal, every flower, every perfect detail would be a strand in the web of her own making. And when the moment was right, I would show everyone exactly who the better sister really was. I just didn't know then how spectacular that revelation would be. Back at the wedding reception, I found Camilla in the powder room touching up her lipstick. The bathroom's marble countertops probably cost more than my first car, another detail I'd splurged on for Solstice's perfect day. So Camilla said, meeting my eyes in the mirror, what's the plan? I'm thinking it's time for my maid of honor speech. I smoothed my dress, checking my makeup hadn't run after my near breakdown on the terrace. You're not even the maid of honor. She chose her friend, Ashley, remember, even though you've done all the work. The bathroom door opened, and Miguel slipped in, looking slightly embarrassed to be in the ladies' room. Sorry to intrude, but I thought you should know. Solstice is about to do the bouquet toss. She's specifically requesting your presence, Greta. I groaned. Let me guess. Another opportunity to highlight my perpetual singlehood? She announced it as a special chance for my desperate sister to catch some luck. Miguel confirmed, wincing. Camilla slammed her lipstick down. That's it. I've watched her treat you like dirt for 20 years. You need to expose her right now. Not yet, I said. A plan forming. Miguel, I need a favor. 10 minutes later, I stood in the crowd of single women watching Solstice prepare to throw her bouquet. She'd positioned me front and center, of course. Ready, ladies? Solstice called out, especially you, Greta. This might be your only chance. The crowd tittered. I smiled sweetly. Throw it, sis. Show us how it's done. She turned her back, made a show of wiggling her hips, and tossed the bouquet high into the air. As planned, Miguel had dimmed the light slightly, making it harder to see. The flower sailed over my head, right into Camilla's waiting hands. "Oh my God," Camilla squealed convincingly. I caught it. Solstice spun around, her face falling when she saw I wasn't holding the bouquet. "Oh, well, congratulations, Camilla." "Actually," Camilla said loudly, "I think this belongs to the person who really deserves it." She walked over and handed the bouquet to Miguel. The room went quiet. Miguel, right on cue, turned to me. "Greta, I've been wanting to say something all day." My mother gasped audibly. Solstice's mouth dropped open. "Working with you these past months has been incredible," Miguel continued, his voice carrying across the now silent ballroom. "Your dedication, your kindness, your attention to detail, it's all been amazing." "Miguel," I said, playing my part perfectly, "this isn't the time." "No, it is the time." He stepped closer. "Everyone here should know just how remarkable you are. Would you have dinner with me next week?" The crowd erupted in cheers and whistles. My mother looked like she might faint from joy. "And Solstice?" "Well, if looks could kill, Miguel and I would both be 6 feet under." "I'd love to," I replied, accepting the bouquet as cameras flashed around us. "This is my wedding." Solstice's voice cut through the excitement. "You can't just hijack it like this." "Hijack?" I turned to face her, steel in my voice. "Like, you've hijacked every important moment of my life? What are you talking about?" But her face had gone pale. "My college graduation, my law school acceptance, my promotion party. Every single time I had something to celebrate, you found a way to make it about you." The words flowed out, years of resentment behind them. "But you know what? You're right. This is your day, and I've done everything in my power to make it perfect." "What do you mean you've done everything?" Rowan asked, appearing beside his new wife. Miguel stepped forward. "Should I tell them about all the planning meetings, the vendor negotiations, the countless hours Greta spent ensuring every detail was exactly what Solstice wanted?" "Shut up," Solstice hissed. "The planning was all me, and Rowan's family paid for everything." I pulled out my phone, opening my banking app. "Want to see the receipts, little sister? Every deposit, every payment, every maxed-out credit card?" The color drained from her face. "You're lying. The Swarovski crystal centerpieces you insisted on. Mine. The hand-painted French chocolates as favors. Mine. That designer dress you're wearing. All me." Rowan looked confused. "But my parents, they said they were handling it." "They handled the rehearsal dinner," I corrected. "Everything else? That was your sister-in-law, the one you just publicly mocked for being too focused on her career." The silence in the ballroom was deafening. Somewhere in the back, a glass shattered, making everyone jump. "Well," my father's quiet voice cut through the tension, "I think it's time we all had a little family chat." Dad led us into a private room off the main ballroom, the same room where Solstice had gotten ready this morning. Her veil still lay draped over a chair, price tag conveniently removed. Another $3,000 I'd never see again. "Sit," Dad commanded. For once, both Solstice and I obeyed without argument. Mom hovered by the door, wringing her hands. "Jonathan, maybe we should wait." "No hope. This ends now." Dad's voice was firm. "Miguel, Rowan, would you give us a minute?" Miguel squeezed my shoulder as he left. Rowan hesitated, looking at Solstice, but followed when she wouldn't meet his eyes. "Now then," Dad said, settling into a chair across from us. "Let's talk about what's really going on here." "What's going on is that Greta's trying to ruin my wedding." Solstice burst out, tears threatening to spill. "Just like she ruins everything." I laughed incredulously. "I ruin everything. I paid for everything." "Girls," Dad's sharp tone silenced us both. "Solstice? Is this true? Did your sister pay for the wedding?" Solstice's lower lip trembled. "I didn't ask her to." "No." I agreed. "You just complained to Mom about how Rowan's family couldn't afford the venue you wanted and cried to Dad about the dress of your dreams being out of reach and told everyone who would listen that you were settling for less than you deserved. I never meant for you to what? To step in? To fix it like I always do?" I pulled out my phone again. "Want to see the texts, Solstice? The ones where you sent me pictures of everything you wanted followed by sad faces and if only messages?" Mom stepped forward. "Greta, sweetheart, why didn't you tell us?" "Because she knew exactly what she was doing." Dad said quietly. "Didn't you, Solstice?" Solstice's tears finally spilled over. "That's not fair. I just wanted a beautiful wedding, and I gave it to you." I stood up, my own tears threatening. "I gave you everything you wanted, and how do you thank me?" "By humiliating me in front of everyone." "You're just jealous because I found love and you haven't," Solstice shot back. "Found love?" I laughed bitterly. "You found a man whose family you lied to about money. You manipulated everyone around you to get what you wanted. Is that love?" "Stop it, both of you," Mom cried. But Dad held up his hand. "No hope. Let him finish. This has been brewing for years. Remember my law school graduation?" I asked, my voice shaking. When you announced your engagement during my party, that was different. Or when you crashed my first big court victory celebration to tell everyone you were pregnant. Even though you knew it wasn't true, you just wanted the attention? Solstice's face crumpled. I lost that baby, and I was there for you. I held you while you cried. I took time off work to help you recover. I wiped angry tears from my cheeks, but the minute I had something to celebrate, you had to tear me down again. I didn't mean to. Solstice whispered, yes, you did. Dad's voice was gentle but firm. You've always meant to, princess, and we let you. Mom sank into a chair. Jonathan, we failed both our girls. Hope. Dad looked between us. We let Solstice believe the world revolved around her, and we let Greta think she had to fix everything. A knock at the door interrupted us. Rowan poked his head in. Sorry, but the guests are asking questions. Should we start serving dinner? Yes. Solstice jumped up, smoothing her dress. We should get back to my wedding. Your wedding that your sister paid for, Dad reminded her. The wedding you're using to mock her. Solstice froze, her hand on the doorknob. For a moment, I saw something flicker across her face. Shame, maybe? Regret? But then it was gone, replaced by the same entitled expression I'd known all my life. Fine, she said. You want everyone to know? Let's tell them. Let's tell them how my perfect sister swooped in to save the day, like always. Let's tell them how she's so much better than me, so much more successful, so much more responsible. Solstice, Mom pleaded. No, you're right. I stood up, straightening my spine. Let's tell them all of it. Every manipulation. Every lie. Every cruel comment. Let's see what your new husband thinks about how you really got your dream wedding. Solstice's hand trembled on the doorknob. You wouldn't. I met her eyes steadily. Try me, little sister. Try me. The dining room buzzed with whispers as we returned to the reception. Solstice immediately plastered on her perfect bride smile, but I noticed Rowan watching her with new eyes. He'd heard enough through the door. I could tell. Miguel handed me a microphone. The floor is yours. Don't, Solstice hissed, grabbing my arm. Please. For a moment, I hesitated. Then I remembered her words from earlier. She's doomed to be alone forever. I tapped the microphone, and the room fell silent. Everyone, I'd like to make a toast to my sister. My voice was steady, surprising even me. You all know Solstice. She's always been the family princess, the one who deserved the very best. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Solstice's fingers dug deeper into my arm. What you might not know is just how far some people would go to give her that very best. I gently pulled free from her grip. Would you like to tell them, Solstice, or should I? Greta, my mother warned from her table. For instance, this beautiful venue. I gestured around the room. These crystal chandeliers, the hand-painted place cards, the 5-tier cake, all paid for by your supposedly career-obsessed big sister. The whispers grew louder. I saw Rowan's mother lean forward, her eyes narrowing. You see, while Solstice was telling everyone that her in-laws were funding this extravaganza, I was quietly maxing out my credit cards. While she was mocking my dedication to my career, that same career was financing her dream wedding. That's enough. Solstice lunged for the microphone, but Miguel smoothly stepped between us. No. I don't think it is enough, I continued, because for years, I've watched you tear me down to build yourself up. Every achievement I've earned, you've tried to overshadow. Every milestone I've reached, you've tried to steal. And I let you because that's what good sisters do. Right? Camilla stood up, raising her glass. Tell them about the law school graduation, Greta, or the promotion party, Miguel added, or my grandson's christening. Rowan's mother suddenly spoke up when she announced her engagement during the ceremony. Solstice's perfect mask cracked. That's not I didn't, but here's the thing, Solstice. I turned to face her directly. I didn't pay for this wedding to hurt you. I did it because despite everything, you're my sister. I wanted you to have your perfect day. All I asked was for you to let me have this one thing, my dignity. Tears streaked her makeup. I'm sorry, she whispered. Are you? Are you really? I asked. Or are you just sorry everyone knows the truth now? I didn't know. Rowan stood up, his voice tight. Solstice, you told me my parents were paying. You let me believe. I can explain, she pleaded. Explain what? Rowan's mother demanded. How you lied to my son. How you manipulated your own sister? The room erupted in overlapping voices. I saw my father put his head in his hands, my mother dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. Stop, Solstice screamed, her voice cracking. Just stop. Fine. I'm horrible. I'm manipulative. I'm jealous of my perfect sister who has everything I don't. Everything you don't? I laughed incredulously. You have a man who loves you, a family who adores you, and a wedding that cost more than my car. What could you possibly be jealous of? Your confidence, she shot back. Your success, the way you never seem to need anyone's approval. Do you know what it's like living in the shadow of someone who seems to do everything right? The room fell silent. Shadow, I whispered. You think you lived in my shadow? Solstice, everything I've ever done, you found a way to diminish. Every time I succeeded, you made sure everyone focused on what I was missing instead. Do you know how many times Mom has asked me why I can't be more like you? More feminine, more social, more focused on finding a husband? Solstice faltered. But you know what? I placed the microphone on a nearby table. This isn't about winning anymore. This is about truth. And the truth is I'm done competing. I'm done trying to earn your respect or approval. I'm just done. I turned to leave, but Miguel caught my hand. Stay, he said softly. Don't let her drive you away again. The room held its breath. In that moment, I saw every face turn toward us. Some sympathetic, some shocked, some angry. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care what any of them thought. No, I said clearly. I think it's time for the bride to enjoy her perfect wedding. After all, she's got everything she wanted. Right, Solstice? I made it halfway across the parking lot before I heard footsteps behind me. Greta, wait. It was Rowan. I turned to face my new brother-in-law, his bow tie askew and his face flushed. You can't leave like this. Watch me. Please. He caught up to me slightly out of breath. Everything's falling apart in there. Solstice is hysterical. My mother is threatening to annul the marriage, and your parents are arguing about who's to blame for all this. Sounds like a typical family gathering to me. I dug through my clutch for my car keys. She told me everything, Rowan said quietly, after you left, about the money, about the lies, about all of it. I froze, and I don't know what to think anymore. The woman I married today, I'm not sure I know who she is. Sure you do. I turned to face him fully. She's the girl who always gets what she wants no matter who she has to step on to get it. The girl who can cry on command and make everyone forget what she did wrong. The girl who's terrified of not being enough. Another voice cut in. My father emerged from the shadows, hands in his pockets, who learned early on that if she couldn't be the best, she could at least be the most memorable. Dad, don't defend her. Not now. I'm not defending her, he said, moving closer. I'm trying to understand her, to understand both of you. Where did we go so wrong? Rowan shifted uncomfortably. I should go back inside. No. Stay, Dad said. You're family now for better or worse, and families face their problems together. That's rich. I laughed bitterly. Where was this family unity all the time Solstice was sabotaging my life? Right here, failing miserably. Dad's voice cracked. Every time we let her behavior slide, every time we told you to be the bigger person, we failed you both. The night air felt heavy with unspoken words. In the distance, I could hear music still playing from the reception, life going on as if my world hadn't just imploded. She's asking for you, Rowan said softly. Says she needs to tell you something. I've heard enough from her to last a lifetime. Greta, Dad stepped closer. Remember when you were 10 and Solstice cut up your favorite dress? Because I got better grades than her. How could I forget? No. He shook his head. Because she wanted to fix it, make it prettier like the dresses in her magazines. She just didn't know how. What's your point?